Hi, Rich Hoffman here. So Vivek Ramaswamy has picked his lieutenant governor, and Amy Acton picked hers very shortly thereafter, early in January 2026. And it's interesting picks. I haven't heard Amy Acton in a while because not since all the COVID stuff that I hear that voice of hers. And I don't like her because she's a Democrat. I don't like her because she reminds me, she sounds like somebody who is some stringy-haired pot smoker who's rolling around in the mud at a Grateful Dead concert for a weekend. She just comes across as brain dead. And if that's her natural cadence, I don't want to pick on her for no reason, but she does not inspire confidence. Amy Acton, the lockdown lady, was in charge of the COVID shutdown in Ohio. As the health director under the Wine administration, they keep saying, well, she was a health director. Why don't the Republicans call her the lockdown lady? That's not fair and disingenuous, and she worked for a Republican governor. He was hardly a Republican governor. We'll get into all that in a minute. But she was just a disaster. And to hear her talk, she just comes across like she's stoned all the time. She just doesn't convey confidence. She didn't back then. I think the Mom Donnie people, the warm blanket of collectivism, liked her because she made people feel safe. Those who never grew up and still desire to be in their mother's womb, Democrats who just never quite got there, and they like the collectivism of the blanket. That's why Mondami said that when he got elected mayor of New York. And they think there's enough people in Ohio to elect someone who makes them feel like they're wearing the warm blanket of collectivism. So even if she comes across sounding like some stoned festival goer that's been missing her clothes for a weekend and nobody knows where they're at, and she don't care because she's too far over the rainbow to notice, even if she comes across that way, those who want the warm blanket of collectivism are probably going to vote for her. In Ohio, that's probably not a majority. It's probably a minority in an extreme case. So whether it's 40, 60, or whatever they comes about, when you go to the north and up in Cleveland, a lot more liberal than Cincinnati, Hamilton County anyway, the southern part of the state. It's much more conservative than the northern part of the state. So they hope you go up to Cleveland, you find a lot of people talking about Amy Acton because it's all the union vote and all those Democrat types. She's you don't hear about her much in the South. She's not going to win the South. So it's a question of North and South. Is that a 60-40 split with a Trump endorsement, with Vivek Ramaswamy has? It's probably 54, 46 or so. That's probably how it's going to fall into the range, and it comes down to engagement, which shouldn't be a problem in the midterm election. And that's the bottom line. And so anybody picks is it really isn't going to move the needle much. Amy Acton is just a bad candidate. I can't believe Democrats put her out there with her track record being the lockdown lady. She's going to be very vulnerable in that, and anybody who thinks otherwise is got a major uphill battle to overcome. But I thought that Vivek Ramaswamy picking Rob McColley, president of the Senate currently, was a very smart move. It's consistent with what I've known all along about what's going to happen in the how the Republican Party, what they plan to get done once they have a governor that'll get it done. Very interesting that once Vivek came out with McColley as the lieutenant governor, that DeWine did endorse. It's a foregone conclusion, but that he did endorse Vivek at that time because it's smart politics. Here McColley knows how to work things through the Senate, and you want good legislative movement. You don't want the House and the Senate working against the executive branch And a lot of times DeWine has just been too much of a Democrat to make that work. So it's going to be good alignment for the Republican Party, get a lot of things good done, and Rob's a good person to have as a lieutenant governor if you're trying to get stuff done and move things and have legislative continuity. So no dispute there. I mean, I think Vivek's doing a great job. He don't have a whole lot to worry about. All these people who are trying to help Democrats by trying to look like they're MAGA fallen angels, like the Nick Fuentes people that are trying to make it all about race and essentially trying to confirm any suspicions people had that the MAGA people were just racist. And now the fallen angels of that racist branch have pulled away from Trump's pick. Vivek Ramaswamy, he's an Indian. He can't be elected in Ohio. We're natives. The best way to convince the world isn't to put the walls up and be afraid of everybody that comes into it. It's how well do you sell to the rest of the world the ideas of America and convert them into the American way of thinking. And I think that only enhances when you have somebody who has a Hindu background, who is very well respected in the business community, done very well, and has a different background than most other people have. It strengthens your argument when they're adopting your principles and they're out there writing books about it, like Vivek Ramaswamy has. To me, he's a slam dunk. He's a great candidate, and he's going to easily win the primary. You got critics out there that's trying to make it about race again to try and pull the MAGA movement apart because they think that's where everybody's vulnerable, and they think Vivek is vulnerable, and he's not. And when you look at the stringy-haired old Grateful Dead hippie type, like Amy Acton is, it's a joke that they actually think it's a close race. Now you got to go out and you got to run, you got to have high engagement, you got to do all your things to do it. But the problem is that she's so dramatically bad track record, horrible track record. And her pick was David Pepper, long time, big time Democrats, always in trouble with all kinds of things, associated with extreme liberalism. I mean, he's a Sherrod Brown type, and I think they think in Ohio that there's enough of those types of people on the line and people that are radical Democrats that are just going to vote for whoever's got the D next to their name, and that they're somehow going to pull enough independents into that framework, and that's just not the case. Not going to happen. And David Pepper is pretty much a joke as far as putting him on a ticket with the stringy-haired hippie type. And that's the only thing I could think about that's the best way I can describe Amy Acton. She was a joke during COVID. They picked David Pepper. They think that this is going to be some kind of Mamdani ticket, and that the warm blanket of collectivism is going to get them over the rainbow, when Vivek Ramaswamy put really a good coalition of business first type of people in place that's really going to make people's lives better. And it always comes down to who's going to make lives better for people who are voting. And when you can align the Republicans, because overwhelmingly Republicans are going to run the state, and you want alignment with the executive mansion. And that's one thing we have not had with DeWine, is he goes off and does these Democrat things every so often. Only when you paint him in a corner does he do the right thing. So you're always trying to paint him into a corner. But he's the one that put Amy Acton in place. And Amy Acton shut the state down. And I know that I heard David Pepper say, well, but she worked for a Republican governor. It was DeWine's policy she was upholding, and it was him locking down. He took her advice. I called it back then. I was on many conference calls with the governor at the time, and I know what was said on the sides, behind the scenes, on the lockdowns and how they went about it and how the decision making went on. And John Huston, I had some personal associations with him. And was he complicit? Was all three of them, when they did their daily little talks, and Amy Acton was there to say, we're going to lock down, you got to stand 6 feet away from everybody. And DeWine's over there, yeah, we do have to do that because I'm from Yellow Springs and I'm a secretly kind of a hippie myself, and I had to be a Republican to get elected into this role, and I don't really believe what I'm saying. But in Houston, I had to sit there and kind of shut up because he has to deal with the DeWine policies. So you had the three of them there doing their little bit, Amy Acton leading it, basically taking her memo notes out of Dr. Fauci's playbook, and Ohio led the lockdowns. And David Pepper thinks that somehow they're going to skate on her complicity in that, and that he's going to talk her up like a great leader when she looks like, I mean, you'd think she'd comb her hair or something when she does these things, but she just comes across as a perpetual music festival participant that smokes way too much dope. And I don't know that she smokes it. I checked. I don't think she's a real big advocate on marijuana. I don't know that she is, but she comes across that way. She comes across horribly. And when you already come across like that, and you got a track record of being the lockdown lady, that's big business problems for anybody in politics. And David Pepper and his reputation, not having a whole lot of accomplishments, but being a big blue Democrat and a thorn of everybody's side in Ohio, only reinforces that she's a radical, crazy lunatic. And DeWine was wrong to put her on his administration because he was trying to reach across the aisle and look like he's trying to be inclusive and put a lady in charge of health. And when it came down to making hard decisions, she buckled like a broken pretzel, and like someone stepped on that had been falling on the floor. And she never recovered from it. She ticked off a lot of people, and it was really a terrible situation. The controversy is media's trying to paint it up that Vivek Ramaswamy is being coaxed off of social media because everybody is mad at him because the fallen angel MAGA people, like they try to portray it, the radical Nazi supporters, I would never call them, I don't think they were ever part of the MAGA movement, but the media is trying to associate them with it and trying to throw Tucker Carlson into that mix, and these crazy people that just really are bouncing through life like a pinball in a pinball machine, just getting knocked to wherever the bumpers knock them. They thought that they had an approach to the whole thing by explaining away the whole social media interaction. That all of a sudden Vivek Ramaswamy's been intimidated off social media because these people are after him. And really what it comes down to, when you're running for governor, I know Vivek Ramaswamy likes to engage with people and have debate and talk, but you got to clean the message up. You can't personally interact with all the millions of people that are checking you out because you're running for governor. He's got to make some adjustments and probably have some staff people just do some blanket updates. But you're not going to be able to read all the texts. You're not going to be able to read all the emails. You're not going to read all the inquiries, all the things people post on social media. You're just not going to be able to keep up with them all. You got to stay on message. That's what's going on with the social media. But they're trying to make it sound like he's in the same boat Amy Acton was in when she got in trouble for all the COVID response, and people were protesting outside her house, and that they're both equitable, both having problems. No, Vivek Ramaswamy's is a needed message, consolation to his keeping on point every day and not getting distracted by all the noise. She had people that were just mad at her because she was ruining their lives. But much different situation. But the media's trying to turn it into something it ain't, and so there we have the presentation of the two candidates early in the month of January 2026, getting ready to head into the primary months. And the way I see it, Vivek Ramaswamy, all the protesters, once you get to the primary, and all the challengers get knocked off easily. It's Trump's pick, Vivek Ramaswamy, and everyone, just like Mike DeWine, late to the party, will all come together before the general election because they're not going to vote for that stringy-haired lady the lockdown lady who just can't comb her hair. And she can't talk in a complete sentence without sounding like she's been stoned for 4 days in the wake of a Grateful Dead concert. And that's Amy Acton. That's me being nice about Amy Acton. She's a ridiculous candidate. Democrats were absolutely foolish for getting behind her, but they have no other option. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting election cycle, and Vivek Ramaswamy just needs to stay on message, not get distracted by the noise, because they're trying to pull him in, getting baited and pushed in all kinds of different directions. But the business first, making good decisions with Lieutenant Governor, head President of the Senate, shows everybody that, hey, good things are going to happen once the Republicans get through this election, and Ohio can move into high gear. For great efforts have been in the works for many years that DeWine has sat on and not acted because he's too much of a Democrat. So a lot to look forward to with Vivek Ramaswamy, but and I'm happy with this pick. It's a good guy, and a good indication of how the Republican Party is pulling together where they need to make good things happen for people in Ohio. And the more that Amy Acton talks, the better. And then there's no hiding from the fact that she's the lockdown lady. And it's going to get worse before, as we get into this campaign. And David Pepper's not going to be able to steer people off that mark. Because DeWine, she might have worked for the DeWine administration. She had to resign under the pressure because it got so intense, because she was so off the mark of the rest of the country. And DeWine, I called him at the time, I called him Dummy DeWine. He was too much of a sucker to rein her in, because he believed all that nonsense, because he, like a lot of these Democrats, love that collective blanket, that warm collective blanket that everybody wants to wrap up in when they want to feel safe. And instead of being decisive and a leader for a state that's looking for it. And Vivek Ramaswamy, only he, has shown it in ways that people can vote and be excited about. It's going to be great to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. Wayne Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Make sure when it's time to vote, you vote for Vivek Ramaswamy enthusiastically, and enjoy not voting for the stringy-haired, Grateful Dead hippie that looks like she rolled around in the mud for several days unwashed. The lockdown lady. Enjoy watching her and all the other Democrats go down in major flames. Have a good day.